It seems like just about every month or so, there's some new big streaming show that is taking hold of the cultural zeitgeist. Well, sometimes it's Yellowstone, sometimes it's Wednesday, sometimes it's Stranger Things, and you may notice a pattern there. The majority, although not all, seem to come from Netflix. And, well, other than The Mandalorian, we're also wondering, why can Disney not hit this same sort of jackpot that the other streaming services manage to do? Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another video here on the WDW Pro channel, where we endeavor to explain entertainment and keep you ahead of the culture curve. Today, we're taking a look at the fact that Netflix seems to be a hit-making machine. They're constantly pumping out big wins. The latest was One Piece, but you could think of Squid Games. You could think of so many others where all people are doing around the water coolers at work and on their phones at school is thinking about, talking about, and watching the highlights of those great shows that keep debuting on Netflix. Why is it that the other streaming services seem unable to do so? Yes, there are the Sheridan streaming shows as an example of other streaming platforms getting success. But when it comes to Disney, they thought they had something in Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. Turns out, that's not so much anymore. According to the ratings, according to what we've seen, Disney Plus is often bereft of the big hits outside of Bluey. So why can Disney not catch fire? Well, we're going to talk about it. We're going to explain what's going on with the House of Mouse and their inability to catch the cheese that they once caught so easily. Out of Variety, and it is going to be quite fascinating in terms of the churnability of some of these streaming platforms. Let's take a look at it. By Joe Otterson, which streaming service cancels TV series at the highest rate? The new study sets the record straight. All right, here's what we've got. The streaming era began with the promise of nurturing shows, little baby shows, take care of them, put a little diaper on them, without fear of ratings pressure and quick cancellations. Of course, that was a lark. Soon enough, the streamers began slashing shows, slash, as quickly and brutally as any Nielsen-obsessed broadcaster, and they were all flooded with the same complaint. The streamers just cancel everything. Nothing gets more than a season anymore. How true is that really? After all, the streamers are looking for hit shows. Just like traditional networks, if a show gets high viewership relative to the cost of producing it, it gets renewed. Otherwise, it is canceled. That is how it has worked since the days of black and white TV. I dare say it's been working that way since radio. So let's look at the graph. Come on, Pro, make it where we can read it. There we go. Look at that. It's a beautiful graph. We don't want to
zoom in
take
and
away. That's right. We'll zoom in until the point that 2 on the 12.2 is so large it fills your entire screen. But here's what we've got: streaming versus linear TV cancellation rates, and this is from 20 to 23. Streaming overall 12.2%. Linear TV overall. So you're safer if you're doing a new show on linear TV. Only 10.8% of those shows cancel. Broadcast 26.6%. Cable, only 7.2%. Even more safe if you're on cable. But take a look at these streaming services and what's going on. And I'm going to talk about a little trick that I think really would mean that Disney Plus is canceling more shows than any other. So hang tight. Max, that's Discovery Max, of course, or whatever we're going to call it, 26.9%. We've got Disney Plus, 21.1%. Paramount, 16.9%. Hulu, 15.2%. Now Hulu and Disney Plus will merge in some way, so who knows how we'll separate that out in the future. Netflix, only 10.2%. Peacock, 10%. Prime, 9%. And Apple TV, 4.9%. Gentlemen, here's why I think that Disney is actually the leader in canceled TV shows. I believe that Disney is keeping their cancellation rate low artificially and through gamesmanship because they are releasing a great number of shows which only have one season and were quote-unquote only ever expected to have one season. But then if it's really good, they'll think about doing it a second time, i.e. Loki. But if it's not good, they just keep with that same refrain of, well, we were never going to do a second season anyway. This was a mini-series.
Well, I'll switch you out there because I think Loki actually got affected by the strikes. They were intending on doing 2 seasons of that one. But Obi-Wan Kenobi, I firmly believe that was intended to be more than one season, and said, no, it's a limited series, but they've always got that hint out there. Oh, no, we could go farther. Book of Boba Fett. If that was gangbusters, then they definitely would have done, Power Book 2 of Boba Fett, however many Power Books were on
Absolutely.
now.
Well, and I think too on this, one of the things to consider is that Disney, they don't seem able to get the zeitgeist. They never seem to catch the lightning in the bottle. Take a look at Netflix right now with One Piece. Netflix does this over and over. One Piece, Wednesday, Stranger Things. Disney had The Mandalorian and they struck it down. So what's going on where Disney cannot, simultaneous to them having this this cancellation level that's way higher, they also can't find any winners? What's going on?
I think there might be some kind of peculiar ideology that runs maybe the opposite direction of most traditional viewpoints in the United States. That maybe it's pervading a lot of these shows where maybe there are some themes that are maybe against some of those traditional family values, those traditional heroic values that, like actual equality of all races.
Western values even, perhaps. Perhaps we
yeah,
broaden this out and say that,
they might be, having some general, a stand against the traditional marriage, traditional values, Christianity, and all the facets of Western culture and neo-Marxism and wokeism.
They do like the latter. They do like the latter. So the other thing to this, too, though, is that when we look at these cancellation rates, what we're also looking at here is the inability of the higher end of these streaming plans that have very high cancellations. This is the inability to control their budgets as well, because ponder this for a moment. If you have a high level of cancellations, it costs far more to start up a new show versus to continue on with one that's already got its sets, already has its costumes, already has its people in place, already has its production teams, etc. It is very expensive to continually churn out brand new IPs. Well, okay, fair enough. Not new IPs, but brand new regurgitations of existing IPs.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is another example of why Netflix is able to keep their expenditures reasonable and Disney can't. And also, if you guys want to talk about Max is in the same situation. This is crazy. That 26.9 is nuts.
Well, I think that Max number probably has a lot to do with the reorganization of the entire.
I think that's a little the outlier that shouldn't be counted.
Probably.
Right? Because David Zaslav came in and he said, if it's not producing, if it's not benefiting us, then we're not going to put it on our streaming service. And I still don't know why Velma is getting a season 2, only because it is probably dirt cheap to make. But I mean, Batgirl.
I've heard that it was already like the deal was for 2 seasons, and they just wanted to play it up like renewal, yay, to like boost up publicity. So don't trust them on that one.
Well, the other thing is that with animated shows, often they order both seasons, but it's not really 2 seasons. It's an order of a certain number of episodes. And then the distributor divides that up and says, here's your 2 seasons and yada, yada, yada. So was it renewed? No, it's not renewed. It's just they had it in the closet and pulled it out, which is apropos for Velma of coming out of the closet.
Oh, boy.
I think it's interesting that
and pulling it out.
Netflix has been getting this kind of characterization that they just cancel shows before they even give them a chance, and it's this kind of like this much repeated talking point when you go to any of these sites or so forth, or any places like Variety. They make jokes about it, but what I'm stunned at is, for as much notice and attention as Netflix has received for its 10% cancellation rate, that Disney Plus having canceled, just by going off this graph, twice as much, people haven't even noticed. That, I think, is what is the most fascinating part to me. It's like, wow, you not only don't have content that hits the zeitgeist, but nobody cares enough to not notice that you're canceling rates twice as much. Go ahead, Spencer.
For example, Vash, I was just going to say, like, who here knew like that any of these shows existed? Like Camiola, PhD or whatever, the Doogie Howser reboot that got canceled. That had 2 seasons and it was canceled. And it's like, who was watching that? When I go for Bounding and I go to the Disney Plus media section to grab licensed pictures, there are like 40 shows there that I'm just like, what is this? Who watched this? Was this a special? Oh, it got a full season? What? Blah, blah, blah. I think... Or go ahead, Vash. Yeah.
Well, no. And to compound that too, even the shows that were, maybe heavily advertised, or maybe not so much, or at least were heavily invested into, like Secret Wars or Secret Invasion or whatever, $200+ million for that show, and nobody watched it. So it's not only this thing where they're putting out stuff that people aren't noticing, even when they invest heavily into stuff that people should notice, people still aren't noticing. But go ahead, Spencer. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think I'm going to build on that because my next point was exactly to that. I think like as to like, yes, there's the whole big culture part, like Jonas was saying, but I think in terms of Disney's turnover with shows, I think their problem is that their writers, as we saw with She-Hulk, are way too terminally online, and every show is I got to course correct for this specific audience. So everything becomes this very specific. We're solving one problem. Oh, there's a bunch of other problems. Oh, we got to go solve those. Cancel this one. They didn't like it. Let's try and solve it again. And it's just treating the symptoms instead of fixing the problem, right? And absolutely, I think the more they keep doing that, the more they're just going to keep we're going to get things like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or I don't know, Secret Invasion, which Vash, 200 million, that hurts me.
Right.
Oh my
well, that's the other problem,
gracious.
of course, is Marvel's hands are tied here because everything builds on each other, and they're doing these supposedly slow steps between everything. So I wonder if Marvel wasn't this shared universe, how many of those programs would have been completely yanked off of Disney Plus?
Well, I'd like to suggest
everything but maybe Moon Knight.
I'd like to suggest it's even more than that to all of you, Jonas and Spencer. I mean, yeah, if they yank one of those, there's a big problem, but it speaks to a larger problem that they have, which is their catalog size. What they actually have available or what they're willing to offer on Disney Plus is very small. And every time they eliminate something or every time they have a false start on something, it's even more costly because their catalog offerings become greatly reduced. So, their 21% is more impactful than, let's say, HBO Max's or anything else. And look, I mean, broadcast television is way up there, but you're looking at Disney's catalog. You're looking at maybe 7,500 episodes of television, and maybe a grand total of 500 of their total ever films that they have from all of their studios. That's not really an impressive number.
So let's make this even worse if you guys would like to, and we'll be accurate as we do. But we see that Disney, of course, has more than 1/5 of their shows, and I'm getting quite a bit of static from somewhere. Do you guys hear that?
I do.
Okay. Well, we'll go with it then. But more than 1/5 of their shows are being canceled. So guess what's not included here? You guys brought up She-Hulk. She-Hulk is terrible. Yet because She-Hulk is always talked about as if, well, yeah, we might do a second. And Jonas has even reported that they're probably going to do the second. She-Hulk isn't part of this. She-Hulk is terrible. Yet She-Hulk's coming back. It's not part of this 21%. The Marvels is now being used as a barometer for whether or not Miss Marvel will come back. Miss Marvel, of course, another series. Some people liked it. Most people did not. How do I know that most people did not? Because I looked at the ratings on ABC when it came out over there. So I don't need anything better than that. And, but
what about it has Willow or something like that?
Yeah, but Miss Marvel.
Oh, yeah. Who remembers Willow?
Yeah,
Miss Marvel, we don't know if it gets a second season or not.
Willow anymore is remember it.
Until The Marvels comes out. And so there are so many of these shows that are put into purgatory where there's, we know they're probably not going to be made, or if they do, that they're going to be failures. But Disney holds them out there, and so they can't be part of this tally. This is, what in the world are they canceling if they're not canceling She-Hulk?
Right, and there's also a rumor going around right now that the if Ahsoka was going to get a second season announcement, that it would happen today or tomorrow, after that episode 5, which they believe was the big darn deal of Ahsoka, that today or tomorrow they would go ahead and say, yeah, we're getting a second season. Like there's already been some work done on it. Kind of.
Well, let's go ahead and talk about Ahsoka then. Ahsoka has been a very divisive show. And every single time that I do a video on it or that I watch a video be made on it, it seems as if there's a 50-50 split. Some people like it. Some people hate it. Some people think that if you are negative about a particular episode, that you are black-pilled and you can't be brought forth out of the mire of hating Star Wars. And some people believe that if you say positive thing about it, that suddenly you're shilling for the company. And, I just think it's at best average. It's kind of ho-hum. So I'm like milquetoast in the middle. But what do you guys think? This 5th episode, like Jonas is saying, we had heard that this was what Disney thought was going to shake the very foundations of Star Wars. And it's a fever dream with Anakin. So, and space whales. Magical space whales. Whale ex machina.
I think that they should have learned a lesson a long time ago that you cannot give your audience homework in order to understand characters and characters' motivations and things like that. I think it left a lot of the audience disconnected. But I think that stands on top of other mounting problems that they have, where that they are losing their fan base in chunks. If you lose 50% of people because they didn't enjoy Obi-Wan, they're gone. So now you're losing 50% of the audience with something like Ahsoka. They're gone. You just keep setting these audience pieces aside. At what point are you done dividing your audience in half? I mean,
Culture, I've got a feed straight out of Lucasfilm based on what you just said. Hang tight.
We'll stick together, huh? Huh? No matter how cruel and how mindlessly painful the consequences!
The fans are gone. The fans are gone, Culture.
Yeah, no, right. But I mean, for me, and I can only speak for me on the show. The only reason I came in to watch it was because of episode 3, and I saw a clip of the funniest thing I'd ever seen in a film ever, which is Ahsoka doing cartwheels in space over a spaceship and defying physics and all kinds of other issues.
You know, my favorite thing about that particular scene, Culture, in the scope of spaceships, she is a tiny ant, right? As anyone would be. Imagine yourself standing on the wing of a plane. And I know that this is made for kids. I get it. But if another spaceship flies so closely that the tiny ant with its glow sticks can slice you, you have failed to understand how to fly your plane in any realm of reality. I mean, my gosh, you got so close that she hit you with her little glowy sticks. Don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. I come at this from a kind of a obviously a parks perspective, and since it's a park place themed show, I think that's probably apt, right? But for as divisive as Ahsoka might seem, right? That is, I think, the one franchise piece that has been integrated into the parks, confirmed from all of Disney Plus. Now, we have had meet and greet characters like Nick Fury and Moon Knight and some others, the Mandalorian, obviously, but they just announced at Destination D23 that we're getting Star Tours locations based on Ahsoka. And like, that's literally it. All of Disney Plus, for all it has ever featured and ever offered, we're only getting one single thing from that whole DTC service integrated into the parks. And that, for me, is a reflection on what Disney thinks is valuable. And we've heard Iger say that Disney Plus is part of core. To only get one thing, cross-pollinate, kind of in this kind of synergistic enterprise here, to only get one thing ever to make its way from Disney Plus to the parks is stunning, because that's not usually how they work.
Yeah, I'll just add there, of course, that's Ahsoka for Galaxy's Edge, and Ahsoka added into Star Tours, which isn't even in Galaxy's Edge. And also, they had the Muppets throughout that entire thing. And the Muppets are an incredible piece of Hollywood studios in the history of that park. It boggles my mind that they aren't doing more with the Muppets. First of all, on Disney Plus, you have great world famous performers, world famous characters, and you could just stick them in front of something and do like a live show. Do your 26 episodes, your cheap stuff that you could put ads in front. Do a talk show with the Muppets.
Why don't
that would be great? I'd watch that.
Yeah,
you have this forum by which you can do stuff like that,
or just adapt. I'm going to add to what you're saying, Jonas. And just say, redo Pigs in Space as Star Wars Muppets.
Oh man, that'd be beautiful.
Kidding.
That would be gangbusters, or that would be.
I just wanted to stop by, guys, and say I'm fully on board with this. And the only thing that I really, Well, hey, Spencer, how you doing up there? What?
Oh my gosh, hi Kermit.
I actually sound like myself. Isn't that neat? Yeah, I got a frog in my throat. But I don't know what they're doing with us. It's really crazy. It's a pile of crap. Yeah. Just wanted to drop that down. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Thank you for the insider info. Our insider contact over at Disney.
I think the Muppets, unfortunately, were this victim of this kind of philosophical framework at the executive leadership position, being we got to make tentpole quality entertainment. We got to do things that, make $200 million in revenue and all that. And the Muppets don't necessarily fit in that. But here you have a streaming service by which you can do stuff like this. And the fact that they haven't leveraged that IP that has definitely a marketplace, a fan base effectively is really a shame, and speaks to that 21% figure that we just saw.
Amen.
I'm impressed. Or to me, I feel like they had a great opportunity and a great reboot with that first Muppets movie. Like,
Oh,
what was
yeah,
that, 2011, 2012. Fantastic movie. Everybody was singing the song. I was in college at the time. All the college age kids were going to see it. It was a great movie. And then they made the sequel with no fanfare. Like, they barely advertised it. They barely did
Right.
anything with it. And then, yeah, now they're just there and they don't do anything. And it's like, Kermit rules. I mean, my automatic reaction just to hearing Pro do like an impression was a smile. That's the last
What are
goodwill
you
they
talking
have.
about?
Right?
What are you talking about? An impression?
Right, sorry, not an impression. For getting him on the stream. My bad, of course.
That was a real frog, sir. A real felt-covered frog with ping-pong eyeballs. All right, folks, that is a wrap for the day. We hope you enjoyed this conversation, and if you did, consider clicking the like button, share, subscribe. And when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. Drop a comment down below. We covet your comments. We care about what you think. Unlike some channels out there, we actually read them. We often respond. And folks, don't forget, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, keep having fun.